Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're testing out Premier Body Armor's new FORTIS line of affordable body armor options. And what's nice about that is that these are budget-friendly armor plates that still have all of the NIJ ratings that you're looking for when it comes to self-defense. Now we're going to take each plate here that has a different rating. We're going to shoot them with M193, M855, and 308 just to find out if they actually meet the standards that they're set to and whether or not they might exceed them as well, so you can make an informed decision when it comes to purchasing body armor. And of course, all these armor plates have some things in common, like having a 7-year warranty, edge-to-edge protection, a water repellent Cordura cover, and the main difference is that these particular plates are manufactured in Thailand using US-made components, which is how we're able to get that price point down while still having the high quality you expect from Premier Body Armor. So, I do want to mention that Midway USA is the biggest supporter of the channel, and thanks to them I can get out here and do testing like this, and of course they work directly with Premier Body Armor, so you can obviously find a lot of those products over at Midway USA. So big thanks to them. And I also want to mention that part of this new FORTIS line is their new Alpha carrier, which is very comfortable, and also their new ballistic helmet, which is affordable compared to all the competition. And at the end of the video, I'll tell you about what plates I'm using in my particular plate carrier in order to give you an idea as to what you might be looking for in the sense of threat level rating versus weight and everything else that goes into the specifications. So let's move in to shooting the first plate we have on the list, which is going to be the FORTIS 3 Plus RF1 single curve plate. All right, quick disclosure. Premier Body Armor sent all of the armor plates for testing over to the channel at no cost. And of course, I'm an affiliate of Premier Body Armor, so there is a conflict of interest, but everything I'm showing you is exactly as these plates perform. So I just wanted to make sure to be transparent about my relationship with Premier Body Armor and the fact that these items were sent over to the channel for free. However, I'm going to show you the exact results regardless of what happens. All right, so the first plate we're going to test out today is the FORTIS 3 Plus RF1 single curve plate. Now, just in case you don't know, NIJ standards have changed recently, and now we have RF1, RF2, and RF3 as opposed to 3, 4, and so on that we had before. So be aware of that. But this is a 10 by 12 inch plate that's 1.1 inches thick, and it's made out of an ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. It weighs 3.4 pounds, which is very light, and this plate will run you about $250 if you use the links in the description as well as in the pinned comment to get an automatic discount, but it can be up to $300 without that. So make sure you check that out. And this is rated for M193, which is 55 grain 556 NATO, M80, which is 147 grain 762 by 51 NATO, and 762 by 54R. So this plate can do a lot, but it's not rated for M855, which is 62 grain 556 NATO, but we're going to test it out on this plate anyway, just to see what happens. So let's strap this thing to a bucket full of sand and start shooting it. All right, so I've got the target set up at 20 yards, and we're gonna use a 16-inch AR-15 here for this 5.56 test, because a 16-inch barrel is gonna be the most likely barrel length you'd encounter in the United States. But if the armor stops both M193 and M855 projectiles in the process, we'll move up to a 20-inch later to see if that makes a difference. So first up, we have M193. I'm gonna go ahead and load it up, and we're gonna send a round downrange and see how the armor does. All right, sent an M193 downrange. Let's go check out the plate and see what happened. All right, so that hit the plate right here at the bottom and actually broke the tape. So you can see where it impacted. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this off and check the back for any deformation as well as if there's any penetration or not. As long as I can figure out how to use tape, okay? All right, so we have quite a bit of back face deformation. And I don't know if you can see that, but it is very bulbous. But there is no exit channel, so the bullet itself is actually trapped inside, which is what you're expecting and what it's rated to be able to do, but with a lot of deformation. So we're gonna move on to 308 because this plate is also rated for that, and then we'll try out M855, which should penetrate this plate. Okay, that M193 did quite a bit of damage, but it didn't go through and it wasn't supposed to. So now we're gonna shoot it with 308 or M80 ball, which is 762 by 51 NATO. Now this is only a 13-inch barrel, but in all reality, it's supposed to stop M80, and M193 is actually much more of a threat of penetrating armor than M80 ball is. So we're gonna just do it this way anyway, because why not? And afterward, we'll see how much damage the 308 will actually do in comparison to the 5.56. So let's load it up and see how it goes. All right, let's go check it out. All right, so that 308 impacted pretty close to the M193 round, and I was aiming a little bit higher, but hey, I guess it is what it is. So we're gonna go ahead and take off the plate and see what the back looks like, but that is a M80 ball, 7.62 by 51 NATO, nasty boy flying right at this plate. And there you have it, a ton of back face deformation. I mean, this thing is deformed, but there is no penetration. Looks like the sticker's even coming off now, but there's no hole. The bullet's trapped inside, and the plate did exactly what it was advertised to be able to do. So that's pretty impressive. I'm pretty impressed by it. You can see how much damage the bucket took. It's dented in now. So what we're gonna do is shoot this with M855, which this is not rated for. So it should go through, but if it doesn't, I'll be impressed. And so far it's doing exactly what it's advertised to do. So I'd say we're good to go, but let's try it anyway. Now we're gonna try M855, which is green tip, of course. And this particular plate, the FORTIS 3 Plus RF1, is not rated for M855. So this should defeat it. But we're gonna try it out anyway, just because I'm curious. And the plate did already succeed at stopping the threats that it's rated for. So the plate is a success, but I just wanna see what this will do. So we're gonna load it up and we're gonna send one down there and just kind of see what happens. All right, I sent that 62 grain projectile downrange. Let's see how the plate looks. All right, so I sent that M855 right up here at around the top of the plate. And like I said, this plate's not rated for M855, but we're gonna check it out just to kind of see what happened. Pull that off, there we go. All right, you can see a ton of deformation on the back here. But honestly, it didn't go through. It captured that steel core, or whatever you want to call it, projectile right inside the plate. This thing stopped M855. It's not supposed to. It's not rated for it, but it actually did. You can see it dented the bucket a little bit up here. I mean, that's a lot of deformation. That would not feel good, don't get me wrong, but it stopped it at 20 yards. That's impressive. So I think we're gonna have to take it up a notch. I wanted to see what the 20-inch barrel will do now, because this has already surpassed our expectations. All right, the FORTIS 3 Plus plate already outperformed its specifications, but I want to kick it up a notch and just verify that it can handle M193 out of a 20-inch barrel, which is what I have right here with this Keltec RDB chambered in 5.56 NATO. So let's go ahead and load up M193. That plate's rated to stop it up to 3,250 feet per second, which is what a 20-inch barrel generally reaches at muzzle velocity. And we'll just see if it can handle it. So we're gonna go ahead and see if it still holds up even after all the abuse it's already taken. Well, the bucket reacted. Let's see what the plate looks like. All right, so that M193 out of a 20-inch barrel is kind of the gold standard for armor penetration, right? And it actually impacted right here, which is a lot closer to another impact than I wanted. So let's see what happened, but if it's gonna get through, it's probably gonna be where another impact already exists. Okay, check that out. All right, look at that. It actually caught it, no problem. M193 out of a 20-inch AR. It's trapped in there, there's no hole. Still a lot of back force deformation, which I'm sure you can see, but it stopped it. So this plate does exactly what it was advertised to do, and I'm actually really impressed with it. For 3.5 pounds to be able to stop that M193 out of a 20-inch barrel and M855, which it wasn't even rated for, out of a 16-inch barrel, this is good. I gotta check this out. Don't get embarrassed, but you're on camera.
What aim was R? Is that it?
No, that's from before.
Oh, so I didn't even, did I not hit it? Or is it there?
That's it.
Oh, okay.
That's it right there in the tape.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
Got her in the tape. Not to be confused with the taint.
Oh,
Oh.
Went right through.
No, my sand.
Yeah.
Here, hold it. Flex seal, baby. Oh no. To be fair, I think there's a lot of other deformation already there.
Yeah, there was. That's pretty low though. I aimed right for that R.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, I was aiming up here when I hit it, so. But
That's pretty cool though. Nice.
I mean, yeah, here, let me see the camera.
No, I don't know why I'm holding on this.
Here, you turn this way. Show me the back of that thing. Okay. Oh, it's already recording still? It must have started recording again. Yeah. All right, so we wanted to see what would happen since that plate did so good. And Tyler here shot it with an M855 out of the 20-inch barrel. And it hit where there was already a lot of deformation, but it did make its way through. And I just wanted to share that with everybody because, well, in all honesty, you just need to know. So it's not rated for M855. It stopped it out of a 16-inch barrel at 20 yards, just not the 20-inch, but also it impacted where there was other deformation already. So there's a lot of variables to consider, but I thought this was worth sharing as well. And now we'll jump over to the 3 Plus GT RF2 plate. All right, next up is the FORTIS 3 Plus GT RF2 single curve plate. This is also a 10 by 12 inch plate that's 1.1 inches thick, and it's made of the UHW MPE as well as SiC, which is boron silicon carbide tiles. It weighs 4.5 pounds and it runs about $376 and can go up to $476. And this plate is actually rated for M855, so it has one additional benefit over the previous plate, and we're gonna test it out right now by shooting it. All right, that 3 Plus plate was pretty impressive. So now we're gonna step it up to the 3 Plus GT RF2 plate. And the difference between these two plates is that this one is rated to stop M193, M80, and M855. So let's try it out, see how it does. And we're gonna start with M193, and we'll take it from there. And I have a feeling it's gonna do well. All right, slammed it pretty good. Let's go check what M193 did to the plate. All right, so that M193 hit right here, obviously. Now this impact looks a lot crazier than what we saw on the previous plate, but this does have the boron silicone tiles throughout the entire front of the strike face. So that might be the difference. So let's open it up and see what it did on the back side and see what the difference really is. Okay, a little bit of deformation, definitely not as bad as what we were seeing in the previous plate, and there's no penetration at all. So this caught M193 without issue. Now let's step it up to M855. M193 wasn't a problem, so now we're gonna step it up to the M855, which this plate, the 3 Plus GT RF2, is actually rated to stop. So let's find out if that's accurate, and we'll see how it does. I sent that label to high hell. So let's go see what M855 did to the plate and find out if it's actually gonna do what it's supposed to do. All right, that M855 impact was right here. And man, on this plate, these impacts look way more violent, but let's check it out and see what it looks like on the back for deformation or possible penetration. And like I said, this plate is specifically rated to stop M855, and it did. There's no penetration at all. There's some backface deformation for sure, but the bullet's trapped inside. So the plate did exactly what it was supposed to do. And I think now we're gonna shoot it with 308 to see how it does against that, because it's also rated to stop that. And if it does a good job there, maybe we'll throw some M855 or M193 out of a 20-inch at it to see what happens. All right, the 3 Plus GT RF2 plate took M855 like a champ. So now we're gonna have to throw some M830 hate downrange to see what happens. Honestly, I don't have any concerns about it being able to stop this, but it's part of the testing and we're here for it. So we gotta make it happen. And of course, the 13-inch barrel is probably not the best way to test for this, but the gun is way cool, so it makes up for it. All right, got right in the center away from the previous shot, so hopefully we gave it the best chance we could. Let's go see what the plate did. All right, that M80 ball definitely made an impact, but doesn't look as bad as the other two, at least on the surface. So let's see how it looks on the backside. Oh man, that's a lot of back face deformation. That thing is bulbous, but there's no penetration at all. The 308 is stopped inside, just like it was supposed to. This is rated to stop 308, and it did a good job of it, but the bucket, oh, the bucket. I'm sorry, bucket. That looks so bad, wow. So if you were wearing this and got hit by a 308, it wouldn't go inside your body, but it would definitely make you feel like something was wrong with your body. But it did it, it passed, it stopped M193, M855, and 308 now. So let's go ahead and move over to a 20-inch barrel with M855. Since that did penetrate the other plate, let's see if this plate that's actually rated to stop M855 will actually stop it. All right, since the 3+ GT RF2 plate handled the 308, the M193, and the M855, we're gonna try M855 out of a 20-inch barrel now with the Keltec RDB once again, because it went through the previous plate, which it was supposed to do in all honesty, since that plate wasn't rated for it. But this plate is rated to stop M855. We're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna try my best to hit it somewhere that we haven't already hit, because I do think that plays a factor. But either way, the plate's rated for it, and we're gonna try to do our best to make it prove it. So let's see what happens. All right, hit a little bit low, but that's good because it got away from the other impacts. Let's go see what happened. All right, I sent that M855 here with the 20-inch barrel. Impact was down here low on the plate, but that's good because it got away from the other impact areas. So let's pull it out and see what happened. Last time that happened, I ended up with a kid. All right, so we have impact area right here, lots of back face deformation, but no penetration at all. In fact, the sticker is still intact on this thing, which is kind of ridiculous, honestly, but it stopped it. M855 out of a 20-inch barrel at 20 yards, this plate said no problem at all. So yes, lots of back face deformation. If your body was this barrel, you would not be feeling very good, but the plate did exactly what it was supposed to do. It didn't come out of the bottom or anything like that. It's in there. These plates are doing exactly what they're advertised to be able to do. I'm impressed. Let's move up to level 4 and see what happens. All right, lastly, we have the FORTIS level 4 RF3 single curve plate. Also 10 by 12 inches, but this plate is 1.2 inches thick. And it has the UHW MPE as well as aluminum oxide tiles. And because of that, this particular plate has a 0.5-inch strike face inset that protects it from drops. So you don't get full edge-to-edge protection with this plate, but it's only a 1/2 inch around that you would have to worry about. And then this plate also weighs 7.5 pounds, which is pretty heavy compared to the other plates, but it has the best armor rating as well. And this plate is gonna run you around $200 all the way up to $250. This one's rated for everything else that we've already tested, as well as armor penetrating 30-06. So this plate should stop just about any threat from a small arm that you would face here in North America, but at the cost of weight. So let's test it out. All right, now we've moved on to level 4 armor. This is the least expensive plate, but it's also the one with the most protection, and it does weigh 7.5 pounds, but it's rated to stop armor piercing 30-06, which I don't have. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start with the 20-inch barrel for 5.56 on this particular plate, because it should be able to stop any of the small arms threats that I have access to right now. And a 20-inch 5.56 is no joke when it comes to armor penetration. And since the other plate was able to stop it, this plate shouldn't have any issues either. So we're gonna start with M193, then we'll move to M855. We'll shoot it with a 308, but it should stop all these threats easily as long as I don't hit it in the same spot twice. So let's get rolling as I get used to loading a bullpup a little bit more often here. Thanks, Tyler, the best Tyler. And we'll see what this thing can do. I could see the aluminum oxide tiles busting out from way back here. Let's go see what that M193 did. All right, so from back there, I could see that M193 impact just shattering some of those aluminum aluminum oxide tiles. And so the last plate actually had boron silicon carbide tiles, and you can see the difference, but this is what makes this plate capable of stopping armor-piercing 30-06, is this composition. Now let's see the back just to see what deformation there is, or if there was any penetration. And as you can see, there's really not much deformation. Of course, there's a little bit, but compared to the other plates, it's probably the least that I've seen, especially out of a 20-inch barrel for M193. So that's actually really impressive. It barely did any damage at all. Of course, it didn't penetrate at all. So let's move up to M855 and see if we get similar results. All right, the level 4 plate stopped M193 as expected. We're gonna put M855 into the 20-inch barrel and just see what it can do. But I have zero doubt that the plate will stop it as long as I do my part and I don't hit that exact same spot once again. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get set up and then send one down range. Wow. That was kind of off to the side, and that was quite an impact, but we'll see what it did. All right, that was a violent impact. That M855 out of the 20-inch barrel slammed it right here. And if you can see inside here, it made a really interesting geometric pattern where the projectile impacted. You can kind of just see it there. I thought it was kind of cool looking. Now I'm a little bit unsure of what happened here because we had the side of the plate blow out. And I don't know if that is from the bullet ripping out the side or if it's because of the deformation that it just ripped open. So let's go ahead and take it off the bucket here and take a closer look at it. All right, so there's really, the back face deformation is right here. It's very minimal. You can't really tell that it's there, but you can feel it for sure. And I'm just not sure if this is where the bullet exited or if, like I said, the material just ripped out from that aluminum oxide just kind of exploding out the side. So I think what we'll do, because I already know this will stop 308, right? It will stop 30-06 armor penetrating. It'll definitely stop M80 out of a 13-inch barrel. Let's shoot it again with M855 in the center, just to verify that it stops that without issue. All right, so we're gonna do M855 one more time, just because I can't verify exactly what happened on the side of the armor plate, and I wanna just ensure and show you that the plate can stop M855 out of a 20-inch barrel. So, I'm gonna load the RDB up once again. And I'm gonna try for a more central impact this time, and we'll see how it goes. All right, much better, much more centered. Let's go see what happens. All right, that impact was way more centered, and so I'm a lot more confident that we'll get a more verifiable result here. So let me go ahead and open up this armor right here so you can see the back of it. There you have it. And the crazy part about this level 4 armor is that yes, it's heavy and yes, it uses the aluminum oxide tiles, but you don't get hardly as much backface deformation as the other armor plates. And there is like zero right here from that M855. So no penetration at all, which makes me believe that this blew out because of the tile expanding more so than the bullet actually leaving the plate. This stopped it no problem. So now we can hit it with the 308 just to verify, and then we'll just talk about final results and I'll give you my opinion on what plates I would suggest just based on performance. All right, so level 4 plate did what it was supposed to do with 5.56 NATO. Now we're gonna hit it with the M80 ball just for good measure. I don't think it's gonna have an issue with it, but we have to at least give it a try because we gave everybody the same medicine today. Load that up. I'm gonna go for the bottom right section so I don't have any overlap. I definitely call that bottom right. Let's go take a look and see what it did. All right, that was a major impact. 308 doesn't play around. As you can see, it's the biggest hole in the armor plate that we've had so far, but I'm confident it stopped it because it's supposed to be able to. So let's go ahead, pull it off the bucket, Let's see what we can find. And there you have it. A little bit of back face deformation. Definitely wouldn't feel good if that happened to you, but there is no penetration and there is no bullet hole. So level 4 did exactly what it was supposed to be able to. I can't test 30-06 AP on it, but for the most common things you're gonna run into here in the United States, it definitely can do that job. So let's talk about my suggestions, my overall thoughts on everything we saw today, and I'll just give you some feedback. All right, so the test results are in, and everything worked as it was supposed to, and this armor is pretty impressive considering it's at a budget price point. We have the 3+ RF1 armor, which only failed once we threw M855 at it out of a 20-inch barrel. And it's not rated for M855, so it still succeeded in meeting all of its expectations. Then we have the 3+ GT RF2 armor, which stopped all the rounds we threw at it today without issue. Yes, it had back face deformation, but no penetration whatsoever. And the strike face actually is still relatively intact. We also have the level 4 armor, which stopped everything as expected since it should be able to stop armor penetrating 30-06, but you do see a lot of deformation here on the strike face from where the aluminum oxide tiles exploded out of the front, but the back face barely has any at all. So everything worked great. Now, if I'm gonna suggest one of these plates to you, personally, what I'm wearing in my FORTIS Alpha plate carrier right now is the 3+ GT RF2 plate. And it has the best balance of weight versus capability, in my opinion. It'll stop everything we threw at it today, as demonstrated. So 20-inch barrel, 5.56 rifles, throw an M855 M193 at you. It doesn't matter, it's gonna stop it. It's also stopping 308 without issue, and it only weighs 4.6 pounds. Then I would recommend the level 3+ RF1 plate if you're on a budget and you can't quite afford the GT or the RF2 plate, but you still want good protection. This did really good, especially only weighing 3.5 pounds. And what's really nice about it is it stopped M855 out of a 16-inch barrel. It's not rated to be able to do that, but it did. And it only failed once that M855 came out of a 20-inch barrel, and where it hit already had some deformation, so that might have been part of it. But either way, for the price, this is really nice armor, especially because it only weighs 3.5 pounds. Those are the two I would recommend. And like I said, I went with the RF2 or the 3+ GT because I wanted to make sure it could stop M855, and it is actually rated to do that. And I think that's a common threat we would face here in the United States. The level 4 is the cheapest at only around 200 bucks, but it also weighs 7.5 pounds. It's extremely heavy in comparison. And the only thing it does better than the 3+ GT RF2 is stop 30-06 armor penetrating ammo. And the likelihood of running into that's pretty low, but at the same time, the weight penalty is actually a real problem. This is a lot of additional weight. And so if you want to be mobile and you still want to be able to wear your armor without wearing yourself out, and then you want to have additional ammo, I think the compromise of less weight with only a slight less capability against much rarer threats is worth the trade-off. So that was the Premier Body Armor FORTIS line armor testing. I think it went really well. Big thanks to Tyler for helping me out with the video because I actually just needed help. This was a lot of work. And hopefully you learned something. And if you have any questions about this armor or any of the other types of ammo that we should have tested or something like that that you want to suggest, please leave it in the comments below. Obviously, if you like this kind of content, hit the subscribe button. It helps grow the channel. And of course, you can go to magicprepper.com if you want to support the channel in any other way. Like I said, I have links in the description as well as in the pinned comment for Premier Body Armor, which also go to help support the channel. Well, besides that, that's going to be it for Magic Prepper.